Hey guys, and welcome back to another video by me, Blute084 Art and Games. And in this video we're going to be doing some digital art, and as you can see at the top there it says digital art and my name is down there. We're going to be doing the background first, then we'll be going into the shading and all of that, and then after that we'll be going into doing character. We're doing Miles Morales Spider-Man this time. If you do want to check any of these out, you can check them out live. I'll tell you more about that in the later of the video. But for now, welcome to the video. Hopefully you will enjoy, and we'll get started, shall we? Okay, so like I said, we're going to be doing another picture of Spider-Man. This one, as always, I've gotten out of my book, and I wasn't happy with the original, so like I said, we're going to be continuing on and sort of getting the background done first this time. I've already outlined everything. I thought I'd spare you the boring part of that. If you want to see me do that, again, you can see me do that over on my Twitch channel. That's twitch.tv/Blute084 Art and Games, same name, different place. But we're going to be putting in the textures, as you can see in the bottom, well, in the right corner, and in the all over the right there. You can see the different layers I've used. I've done about 4 different layers. I've layered each layer, or I've put on each layer the far background for the buildings, mid section where the taller buildings are, and then the roof that Spider-Man, or Miles Morales Spider-Man, will be standing on. I'm now sort of using the different tools that you can see me using at the bottom there. I can't actually remember that tool, but it's just like a light shade tool, and so sort of figuring out where I want to put the light and where the light is. You can see where the light's coming from. It's coming from the moon, and I'm sort of using different layers. Again, I'm adding new layers, and every time you add a layer, make sure you name that layer, because it gets very confusing. You can also color the layers, and you'll see that how I do that in the next video. But if you want to see that, you're going to have to hit subscribe. But yeah, we're figuring out where the light's going to be hitting on all the different buildings and getting all of that done. It takes a little bit of time, and I'm still kind of new to this and the digital side of it. At this moment, I'm using a mouse, but later on in the video, you'll see the difference between using a mouse and using a drawing tablet, because this is when I actually bought myself a professional drawing tablet and pen to go along with it, because I got fed up with the mouse. But yeah, adding in where the light's going to be and where I want the light to be, and that's just what we're going to be doing for the next few minutes. Keep watching to see how I do all of that. Don't forget to keep looking in the bottom right corner to see which tools I'm using for which parts. It does help to faff around, and if you are going to use this program yourself, don't forget this is KRITA, KRITA, and it is a completely free app for you to download on your PC and certain tablets as well. So don't forget to go and support them and check it out, and get this app if you are having troubles by subscribing to any of the paid versions. And now I've got all the light and where I think all the light should be. I'm now using a different part of the textures package you get with KRITA. I'm going to be sort of putting in where I think the shade should be. Again, the shade should be on the opposite side to where the light's going to be. You don't want to have light and shade at the same time because it doesn't make any sense if you're going to do that. It's say if you've got a building or a block or a circle. We're using blocks for this one. You want to sort of where the lip is most deepest, that's where the deepest shadow is going to be on this one, as you'll see me going through this. And I'm not using the normal shading tool that I use, or I'm not using a low opacity of the same brush. I'm actually using dots, because I thought I'd look a little bit more like a comic or a cartoon that you would see. I'm trying to do a bit more of a comic style on this one, and like I said, I'm using the dotted tool. I think it's the smaller of the dotted tool. As you can see in the bottom corner which one I'm using. Yeah, I'm using that dotted tool again in the edges of each part of the window here to sort of emphasize there is shadow there without using a full shadow or a low opacity brush. I thought this would be again a good effect. Let me know if you think this effect works better than the normal way that I do it, and if you can compare them with the other videos that are posted in the All Creation Station playlist. But yeah, I think this really works out, and I do like the effect. I may use it again on different next projects. Again, I'm trying to make this more comic style, so I'm using these tools here to darken some of the areas. Again, I'm faffing. I don't really know. You can turn down the opacity as you see in the top middle of the screen. It's where I'm turning down the opacity and all the other good stuff that you got to faff around with. Again, if you're new to any of this digital art, make sure you have a faff around, because you never know what's good for you and what styles you want to do. You can do all sorts of different styles, and there are every thing you can use, like clipping masks and stuff. Again, that will come later in the video, so keep watching. Alright, so we've gotten all of the background done, and I'm kind of happy with the way that was looking. So now I'm going to be going over the main character that's going to be in the forefront of the picture. Again, it's Miles Morales in his original hoodie and jacket with his suit underneath. This part does take you a little bit of time. I'm tracing something I've already drawn. So if you are an artist and you do draw on paper as a traditional thing and you want to have a go at some digital art, this is the best way I've found so far. And I'm actually using the mouse at this point, I believe. But again, later on I will be using a tablet, and I will tell you at which part I will be using a tablet. Yeah. So yeah, we're going to be outlining all of the thing that you can see. Again, I'm using a thing that I've already drawn on paper, scanned it into the computer, or taken a picture of it on my phone, put that onto the computer, and then use that as a template to do all of my digital art over the top. This is, again, a very helpful thing you can do if you are only learning and want to get better at digital art. It sort of frees up your hand and teaches your hand how to actually use either a mouse or a tablet if you're using them straight off. I'm going to leave you with this, and we'll be listening to some more Comic Storian. Again, if you want to find them, there will be links to their channel at the bottom, or you can listen to them for yourself over on my channel, again on Twitch, because everything I draw I generally listen to a bit of Comic Storian if it's related to what I'm drawing. And because we're Miles Morales, you can hear every single story either on their channel themselves or when I'm playing, as I say, when I'm drawing them. If you're a fan of the game, I've played everything from Spider-Man new games for the PS4 and the Miles Morales. So go and check them out. Again, they're up on my channel. All you got to do, have a quick little look.
After the Secret Wars, Miles Morales now lives in the main Marvel Universe with the name Spider-Man, and he's an Avenger. Welcome to the Complete Story Series, where I take trade paperbacks and single issues and I break them down into digestible bites to help you understand. Then I read as dramatically back to you all alterations to the panels, text, and images are to prevent copyright problems, and all art is owned by its respective companies. As I said, this takes place after Secret Wars. Miles Morales now lives in what is known as Marvel Prime, and a few things have changed in his life as a thank you from Molecule Man. So let's look at his life. Because things don't start out very good for him as he's rejected by the girl that he wants to ask out right away. His buddy Genki walks up to him and seeing the sad look on his face, he asks when the wedding is. Genki tells him that he didn't approve of this date anyway. Miles tells him that she's insanely hot, and she's rather unpleasant. Miles, why do I always find that so attractive? As they talk about it, his mother calls him to ask why his midterm grades are so bad. His father then runs interception telling Miles to get it together. You see, Miles has been slacking on his schoolwork for obvious reasons. He's Spider-Man, which kind of gets in the way of his study time, book reading time, and friend time. To make matters worse, as his teacher is yelling at him, he hears sirens going off nearby, and he runs off to the bathroom with the teacher telling him not now. He swings into action riding on top of a fire truck as it goes towards the scene of a conflict, when suddenly cars go flying over his head. He quickly whips them up and holds them in the sky and away from the bystanders, and then he swings to the bus to pull people out of it. Still wondering what's going on, he begins swinging towards the center of the problem, and that's when he sees Iron Man's mask come flying past him. Uh-oh, he thinks. He gets into the thick of it and he sees the Avengers fighting against a demon. Captain America throws his shield and Miles whips it up to catch it for him, but Blackheart puts a blast of power out so big that it throws Miles back into a car and it knocks out Captain America. Miles asks him what he wants and Blackheart tells him, "Subjugation! Get on your knees!" Miles takes a knee and then he throws impact webbing at Blackheart, which Blackheart ignores and he tries to smash the ground Miles is standing on. Miles lands next to Cap's shield and he thinks to himself, "Do I dare?" Then he grabs the shield and he holds it up. "I guess I dare. I hope someone is filming this." He leaps in, hitting Blackheart with the shield, and he tags him with his Venom Sting, which completely drops Blackheart. Then in a blast of black magic, he vanishes, telling Miles that he will return to destroy him. "You don't have to, Mr. Satan, sir." Then behind him, he hears a familiar voice. Peter Parker. "What did you do, Miles?" He stands with the fallen Avengers. "I didn't do this." Miles tries to explain that there was a demon or a creature or something, and Peter tells him to calm down and put down Cap's shield. That thing is made of vibranium alloy and it's worth a fortune. Peter walks over to Iron Man and he leans in. "Tony, yoo-hoo!" And as Peter is trying to wake up the Avengers, he turns to Miles. Miles. We need to talk about the whole Spider-Man thing. You said I could be Spider-Man. Yes, but what you said? Then Miles refers to the time that he beat up a bunch of robots with Peter, and he asked if Peter was mad that he was calling himself Spider-Man. Peter told him that he was madder that his costume was cooler, but it doesn't bother him that Miles is using the Spider-Man name. He even gave him his blessing, but Peter tells him, "Can't I change my mind? Hey, at least you asked. Spider-Woman never asked, and she just does whatever she wants. But with you calling yourself Spider-Man, I get blamed for everything that goes wrong. Like this." At that moment, Blackheart returns standing behind Peter. He smashes the ground, throwing Peter Parker aside. Miles gets right back into it, throwing Cap's shield at Blackheart, knocking him down. Then he goes invisible with his stealth mode, and he Venom tags Blackheart over and over. He repeatedly beats on Blackheart to the joy of the crowd watching and filming him. And then he beats Blackheart so hard that he can't even warp away this time. He's down for good. Once he finishes, all the Avengers wake back up. Captain America walks over to him to inform him, "Good job, kid." Miles just about has a nerdgasm. The police then walk forward and they point their guns at the Avengers, and Tony explains they know who they are. And the officer says, "Yes, I know who Iron Man, Captain America, and Spider-Man are, but who's the new kid?" It's Peter who walks up and says, "He's Spider-Man." Peter then walks to him and reminds Miles, with great power comes great responsibility. And as Miles leaves, Peter asks Tony, "Is it too late to get a copyright lawyer?" "Too late," Tony tells him, and Cap smiles. "I like him." Miles goes back home where Genki shows him a vlogger who is freaking out about the new Spider-Man because as he was fighting Blackheart, his mask tore, and she discovered that he's a kid of color. "This is huge," she exclaims. And for some reason, that bothers Miles. But what really bothers Miles is when he gets home, his mother plans to get his grades back on track, and his grandmother is there waiting for him. If you want to find out where this story goes, go pick up Spider-Man #3. It follows the adventures of Miles, now in the main Marvel universe. If you want to chat with me, go ahead and check me out on Instagram at ComicStorian, on Twitter at ComicStorian, or you can go to Eligible Monster, our gaming channel, where you can get gaming comic books and unnecessary censorship right now. I'll see you guys over there, or I'll see you tomorrow right here.
As you can see here, I've gotten my Kosh, actually not Kosh, the colours that I would like. I've gone to another picture of this particular thing that I was trying to draw and picked all the colours. I dropped them, got them into the computer and preset all of the colours that I would like to use, the darker shades and the lighter shades. And because of Miles Morales' suit's got red webbing on his mask at least, I thought instead of doing a black overline and then having to do the black suit itself, I thought I would do the red lining instead of the black outline, because the rest will be out black outlining, but this, as the mask has red lining on his webbing, I thought, you know what, let's just do that straight off and get that colouring correct. Again, I picked all the colours before getting all of this done, just so I knew what colours were available for me. I wanted to try and get it as close to the original as possible.
Miles Morales is trying to be a kid and be Spider-Man, which of course is making his grades slip. So what did his parents do? Welcome to the Complete Story Series, where I take trade paperbacks and single issues, and then I break them down before I read them dramatically back to you. All alterations to the panels, text, and images are to prevent copyright problems, and all art is owned by its respective companies. Now this is issues 3 through 5 of Spider-Man, the Miles Morales story. It takes place after our first episode, in which he got to hold Captain America's shield and fight against a demon from another dimension, but it does take place before Civil War II. This is the storyline right before that, so we'll be getting to the Civil War II storyline very soon, but I hope you guys enjoy. When we last left off, Miles' grades were slipping, and his grandmother was called in. Miles' father, Jefferson, tries to tell Gloria that maybe she's being a bit too harsh, and then she yells at him. Gloria then goes back to yelling at Miles, asking who does he think he is getting these kind of grades. In a Miles' mind, he wants to scream, "I'm Spider-Man!" but he can't. Before Miles could even try to defend himself, Gloria takes away Miles' phone. Miles' mother, Rio, then says actually he needs that phone. He does live on campus during the week. Gloria tells everyone that he can get his phone back after he earns it, and right now it's time for him to do some homework. With that, Miles heads upstairs to his room, slamming his door. But as he lays in bed, Miles begins to think about how maybe he should just leave. Maybe he should go live with the Avengers. What is he supposed to do now without a phone? What if Iron Man calls or Miss Marvel? Back downstairs, Rio tries to tell her mother that maybe she's being a bit over the top. Gloria tells her that she is the one who called her over here to scare the boy straight, and she is still keeping his phone. Just then the doorbell rings and Rio answers it. A young girl says hello. Her name is Lana Baumgartner, and she's a friend of Miles. Rio tells her that Miles can't come down to the door at the moment, and then Gloria swings the door open, asking, "What are you selling?" Lana asks her, "I'm sorry?" And Gloria goes on asking, "Uppers, downers, is it the pot?" But as Rio tries to stop her, Gloria slams the door shut, stating that the girl looks suspicious. Both Miles' parents stare at Miles' grandmother, and Gloria finally puts it together. Miles is the drug dealer! Jefferson shouts that he's had enough of this, he's leaving. But as both Jefferson and Lana go their separate ways, a hooded Miss Marvel watches. Once the coast is clear, Kamala Khan extends her neck and shouts, "Boo!" at Miles through his window. Just as Miles begins to ask what the hell, the head disappears and then there's a tapping at the window. He looks down and he sees Kamala shouting to let her in before she gets blown away. After letting her in,
Right, so all of the outlining is done and I'm happy with all of that. And now I'm just going to go from using a layer underneath the sketch work that I've done here, and I'm going to be going using that as a guide to go around and colour all of the different colours. Again, each piece of clothing or certain pieces of clothing are on different layers, so when I come around to doing the texturing and shading, I don't get mixed up and I don't overlap, and I don't have to do a load of deleting, which I've had to do in loads of other videos as you've seen, and it's just become a pain. And I've been searching up how to do these a little bit better, and it's underline everything. I've always done this anyway, but underline everything, put it on a different layer. Again, don't forget to name your layers because you will get confused, because I've got about 20 layers going now, and I have to keep flicking through them to see which layer it is. But like I said, we're going to be colouring this in like you would a colouring book, and again, there's my pick colours that I'm using, and swapping between layers here. You can turn them off, so if you want to do certain layers in certain time, you can turn them off, so they're visible and then invisible. But yeah, as you go and colour them in, I think now is actually the point where I'm using a pen and it becomes incredibly easier, because it's just like drawing with a pen and using like a Copic marker or a pencil or something on the similar lines of that. And oh my goodness, it's so much easier when I use this, and so much quicker. I was having so much trouble with doing a lot of stuff with my mouse, and I'm so glad I've got myself a tablet that I've got. If you want to check out which tablet it is, go and check out the unboxing of the UCE M. Oh goodness me, I can't remember, but it's go and get and check that unboxing video if you want to see what tablet I'm actually using for this drawing itself.
Miles asks what is she doing here, and Kamala says that they were supposed to do a superhero neighborhood recon. But wait, are you grounded? Miles says that it's kind of embarrassing, and Kamala tells him not to feel bad. Her father would ground her to menopause if he found out that she was talking to him. But before Miles could even think about sneaking out, Gloria shouts, "Who are you talking to?" The bedroom door flies open as Gloria starts to look around the room, asking who he was talking to. And Miles tells her that since she took his phone, he has no one to talk to. Gloria hugs Miles, telling him that she's doing this for his own good. He needs to straighten up and let Jesus guide him. But as she leaves, Gloria also says, "Stay off the drugs." Once the door shuts, Miles looks around and Kamala shouts from outside that she's right, he needs to study. So rain check on the team-up thing. And also stay off the drugs. Meanwhile, over in the Bronx, Felicia Hardy, aka the Black Cat, heads over to a restaurant that Hammerhead is dining in. After knocking out one of the bodyguards, she tells him that she's got a deal that she would like to tell him about. It involves the new Spider-Man. The next day at school, Miles' teacher tells everyone that she has an announcement to make and she would like everyone to welcome a new student into their class. From what she's told, she hears that he's kind of famous, so please welcome Fabio Mendina. Genki gleams with excitement because it's Gold Balls! He's like the coolest superhero ever. Miles looks at him and Genki says, of course, after Spider-Man. Right. A little later at lunch, Genki begs Miles to come home with him and talk to Fabio. Miles then asks why does he have to go with them, and Genki tells him, well, because I'm shy, and you're one of them. Miles stares at him and Genki says, you know, a superhero? As the two go on, Genki says, you wouldn't understand, you're not bigger than you would like to be. And Fabio is, well. However, before they can go further into the discussion, a gold ball flies down into Genki's lunch. Fabio runs over telling him that he's so sorry, he was just showing off to the other kids, and Genki tells him, it's okay, I'm actually a huge fan. So Fabio hands Genki a napkin, and Genki tells him that him and Miles actually have a lot in common. Fabio asks, what does he mean? Is he a mutant? And Miles says, no. And Genki says, no, what I mean is... Miles stops him and Genki says, it's cool, we can tell him. Fabio says that if he's a mutant or an inhuman, that's cool. But Genki plainly says, he's Spider-Man. Miles' mouth drops. His friend just told somebody his secret identity, and he tells Genki to say that he's joking, but Genki tells him, it's cool, we can trust him. Fabio looks at the two of them and asks, what is this? Genki holds out his phone with an article about Spider-Man and says, no, seriously, he's Spider-Man. Fabio goes on to tell him, if this is for real, Miles is right, you really shouldn't have told me that. Miles storms off and Genki says that Miles has been acting weird lately and he figured that he could use some friends to relate with. But then Genki says, you know, just throwing this out there, but do you want a room with us? And Fabio smiles, telling him, absolutely. Outside, Miles swings through the city to get back home, thinking about how he doesn't think he's ever been this mad at someone before, and suddenly his Spidey sense goes off. He looks around to see 4 missiles coming straight for him. All that Miles can think about is that he needs to get away from the civilians. So as he goes higher and higher up, he realizes the problem. As he gets high up, he has nothing to web onto. The missiles get closer to him, and Miles activates his camo, and the missiles fly by. Then they turn back around and head straight for him. One of the missiles shoots by and hits a building. So Miles swings over to the Parker Industries building, trying to figure out who could have done this. Was it S.H.I.E.L.D. or is it that thing that isn't S.H.I.E.L.D.? Hydroxycut. Hydra. Yeah, that's it, Hydra. Miles thinks, other than himself, who else has enough hate for him to blow him up right now? But before Miles can even come up with an answer, the missiles explode, knocking him out of the air. His body falls to the ground and everyone gathers around to see. And just then, a van pulls up and someone with a gun starts to fire into the crowd. Everyone begins to run away and then Hammerhead steps out stating, this actually worked. We should call that black cat dame and tell her to open up that checkbook. Meanwhile, back over at the academy, Fabio takes Genki up on his offer to let him crash there. After letting him in, Genki asks Fabio if he's sure that he wants to room with him and Miles after that embarrassing display. Fabio tells him, yeah, that was kind of embarrassing. Genki stops for a moment and says that he really shouldn't have betrayed Miles' trust like that. And Fabio tells him, well, we all just met and all, but no, you really shouldn't have. Fabio then goes on to tell him, well, good news is that you were right and I'm not going to tell anyone. However, as the two of them continue to talk, a notification goes off in Genki's laptop. Fabio asks what it is, and Genki tells him that it's a vlog that he follows. This girl who's totally obsessed with Miles ever since his costume ripped open on camera. As the two of them watch the video, she says that she just received shocking images moments ago. The screen changes to show Spider-Man laid out on the ground in a pool of blood, and then a group of men got out of a van and dragged him away. A short while later, Felicia and Hammerhead stand in front of Miles. She says that he's really knocked out cold, and Hammerhead asks if he should shake him awake. Felicia tells him that she would rather him not, but right now they need to check his fingerprints to see how much this kid is really worth to them. She calls over to her assistant to scan his prints, and he begins to work as he takes off one of Miles' web shooters. The man then holds the scanner to Miles' fingers and says, uh-oh. The man says that this kid has no records of any kind in any systems, local, federal, or Interpol. Hammerhead says that he's just never been pinched yet, and the man says that it's more like there's nothing on him, anywhere. Felicia realizes that this means that this kid is connected, and the man says, this kid is S.H.I.E.L.D. We need to get him out of here like 10 minutes ago. But as the man pulls his hand away, he feels a small prick, like something bit him. Felicia asks what's wrong, and the man suddenly begins to get electrocuted. After looking around, Felicia asks, what did he do? And Miles tells her, hang on. Trying something. Just then, Miles' eyes begin to glow and he releases a massive electric shock breaking out of his restraints. She shouts, the other Spider-Man couldn't do that! And Hammerhead says that he's got this. After a moment of preparation, Hammerhead runs in, headbutting Miles in the stomach, slamming him into the wall. He then holds Miles up ready to punch him, but before he can get a swing in, Miles wraps himself around Hammerhead's arm and he shocks it. Just as the grip loosens, Miles kicks Hammerhead in the head. And as he lands, Miles realizes that he just broke his foot with that one. Felicia watches and decides that it's time for her to leave, and Miles aims his web shooters and shoots, except he's got no web shooter on that arm because they took it off. But before he can aim with his other arm, Hammerhead charges back in, ramming Miles in the back. He continues to swing and Miles begins to think that the Venom Blast should be taking effect right about, and that's when Hammerhead stops. So while the Venom Blast goes through Hammerhead's body, Miles gives him a swift kick in the butt and follows after Felicia. He calls out to her as she hops onto the rooftops, but she stops and tells him that she would stop right there if she was him. He stands there asking, why? Why did you come after me? Felicia tells him bluntly, because she's trying to run a business, and he's bad for business the moment that he put the costume on. She goes on stating that she knew he was an Avenger, she just didn't know he was that connected. Miles says that he really doesn't know what that means, but she's under arrest. She tells him cute, but he doesn't get to do that, he's a vigilante. But hey, when he gets older, come find her and she can show him how to make some real money. But come after her again.
Like I said, I was using the dotted line to shade, and I thought, as I was looking at the original, he has on his actual suit, it has like a slight texturing to it, like almost it's a breathable material, as you've probably seen on multiple comics and even in the films. They have a little bit of like a plasticky outline almost. So I'm using that to add that effect before I go into the shading part of it. I'm deleting here and just get things like that. But yeah, using that tool to give it just another little bit of more of a textured feel to the actual suit. And you'll see that I've got a clipping mask open. You can go down if you right click on your color section or your colored piece, and then right click that one, find down the bottom, you'll find clipping masks. Unfortunately I can't show you. I did try and put them onto the video, but the way I record is it wouldn't let me show that. So yeah, you want to go right click, find it down on the bottom, but clipping mask or quick clipping mask is what you're looking for if you want to do that. If you see here, I haven't I'm just using a darker color. I'm not actually shading this. Again, I'm using the dotted tool and darker of the color, and just sort of so I can show the shading itself. I will use, again, there we go, I've just used it there. You can, again, these are on different layers and they are using a clipping mask. And that's the normal tool that I use. It's like an airbrush tool to shade in the darker where the areas that aren't getting hit by light. And you'll see me use the light tool on this one later on, and you'll see it at the bottom corner. Again, clipping masks, if you're going to be doing this, different layers on different things. I'll say the jacket and the trousers is the suit and the trousers are on a different layer, so make sure that you again name them, put it on a different layer so you don't get confused. Use the clipping masks. What clipping masks do is that you will not go outside the line when you're using your shading things, and it just saves so much time to not have to delete anything or erase anything once you've done it. As you noticed, normally I would have gone over the line by now and I would have had to go back over it, delete a load of stuff that I don't want, or erase stuff, but not this time.
Miles tries to shout that she's going to jail, but Felicia jumps off the rooftops and Miles sees that she's now disappeared. A short while later, some officers head out for the day when they notice Hammerhead and his men all webbed up on a lamppost. One of the officers says, "No note? Who doesn't leave a note?" Back in my day, Spider-Man would always leave a note. It was completely inadmissible in court, but at least it was polite. Back over at the academy, Genki and Fabio find Miles sitting on a bench. Fabio says that it looks like a guy with a big head dragged him away, and Genki adds that they were running around looking for him. He then sits down and tells him he's sorry. Miles stops him and says that he knows, but they need to talk this out, including Fabio. As the three begin to talk, the sounds of clicking can be faintly heard, and across the street, a woman sits in her car taking pictures of the three boys. Now, directly after this, we go into the Civil War II event, which did have some ramifications for Miles, since the Vision said he was going to kill Captain America. But other than that, this is pretty much where we are with Miles Morales right now. Now, personally, I like Miles Morales because I like the fact that we can have Peter Parker be an adult and have adult problems, but we get Miles, so we still get the classic kid Spider-Man. It's great. I love it. We get the best of both worlds. And if you want more Spider-Man, then make sure you subscribe to the channel to get your dose of Spider-Man when we put it out. Also, you can follow...
Now I've done all of Miles Morales' shading, and I'm happy with all of that. It's now to see where the light will be hitting him, because I thought there's no point putting the light on if I don't know where the light is. And I noticed once I put it on there that the light probably from the sign behind him is going to be hitting his trousers, not much out. So I put a little bit of light on his trousers, similar to the same light. You can see which light tool I'm using there in the bottom right. Again, we're using clipping masks, and all of that things I was trying to explain in the on each different layer, because each different thing are going to be hit by a different light. And I'm using pink for the lower half and white, or the moon white, for the topper. I thought I'd add a little bit of shine to certain areas. I didn't like it on the buttons, so I just put it on the camera. It's almost like he's got his camera open, or he's got his flashlight open on there. But there you go, one finished and completed picture that I am happy is finished. And we've gone from a pencil sketch, which you saw me sketch this one, and if you are interested in seeing how to sketch it on paper, you can check out that video in the All Created Spider-Man playlist. We've gone from sketching with pencil to inking that one out with a ballpoint pen, sketching ballpoint pen, and then a digital outline of the background. Again, I didn't show you how I did that, but that's what it looked like before I put any of the colour or the textures in. To doing the outline of Miles Morales, you saw me do that one. Again, we traced over that as well, over the original image. But I took a picture from my phone, scanned it into the computer, put it into KRITA, and we came up with this. Put it all together, just to show what it looks like all together without any colour, or any textures, or any shading, or anything else. To doing the background finished. That was all the shading, all the texturing, all the light, and everything else that I thought needed to be in the background. So Miles Morales, where we did a grey background. Sometimes I have a squared background, or the transparent, but there we are with all of it complete of Miles Morales, and you can see where the light is hitting him as I separated those two layers, so you could see the actual where I put the light and the dark shading. And that's everything together, all done and finished. Hopefully you have enjoyed and maybe found this helpful. If you've got any questions, please let me know at the in the bottom in the comments. And if you want to see me sketch this, again, check out that video. If you want to see me do this live, it is still available up on my Twitch channel. That's twitch.tv/Blute084 Art and Games. Thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, ding the bell for notifications, and I'll see you in the next one if I don't see you live. Bye for now.